Hi, I'm Brendon Schulze with Machinima.com, and today I present to you my assessment of Goldeneye 007 for the Nintendo Wii. Now, the question: can Activision and Eurocom recapture that lightning in a bottle that Nintendo and Rare created 13 years ago? Well, let's take a look.
That was your intro, Brendon?
Rob, I can't give everything a 10.
That was garbage.
Take everything you remember about Goldeneye as you know it and throw it directly out the window, because this is definitely Daniel Craig's Bond. If you've seen either Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace, then you might know what to expect in terms of tone. Dialing back on the gadgets and the swagger, this Bond is more of a ruthless killing machine. In short, Bond kicks ass again. Approaching the franchise from a more realistic angle, GoldenEye 007 takes the most praised film and game from the Brosnan era and retools it with fantastic results. For any fan of the film or the original GoldenEye game, the campaign here is a blast to play through, with a balance of a familiar story coupled with a fresh execution. A lot can happen in 13 years, so don't expect GoldenEye 007 to be the same Nintendo 64 game with a fresh coat of paint. Many of the first-person shooter mechanics popularized over the years are here. Sprint, melee, and a cover system modernize GoldenEye, and while this keeps up the pace of the action, there is more than one way to play GoldenEye 007. A large portion of the game allows you to either creep around and immobilize enemies with a melee attack or barge in with guns ablaze. Approaching levels with two different techniques adds tremendous replay value to the single-player campaign, but staying under the radar can be difficult at times due to the enemy AI. Henchmen, while excellent in their ability to constantly reposition in combat, can detect Bond from unreasonable distances and vantage points. Now, this is fine and basically unnoticeable if you're looking for an all-out firefight, but it can spoil a stealthy approach if you choose to play that way. Regardless of how you play, you'll traverse some pretty solid level design in GoldenEye 007's campaign. Much of the game has you moving through large areas with multiple routes and plenty of opportunities to use that new cover mechanic, which is necessary because the game can actually be pretty difficult. Clearing an area of enemies is no small feat, as you can find yourself vastly outnumbered. But once you apply the patience and precision necessary to move through the game's more difficult areas, you definitely get the feeling of being an MI6 agent. And commandeering a tank to demolish a construction site helps in that department too. Even the best-looking game on the system comes with the qualifier for the Wii. And guess what? GoldenEye 007 looks good for the Wii. Character models move flawlessly and realistically throughout, and while the environments look great most of the time, there is some occasional slowdown when the action cranks up. There is also a distinct lack of enemy variety. You'll clear out room after room filled with dozens of the same person. Given the nature of the typical spy caper and its predilection towards anonymous henchmen, though, this seems somewhat appropriate. However, the largest issue with the graphics is simply the realistic nature of the game invites comparison to other uber-polished first-person shooters. The Wii's lack of hardware power isn't as distracting when working with a more fantastical style, but compared to the Call of Duties of the world, GoldenEye 007 can prove underwhelming for some players. The sound in GoldenEye 007 is some of the best I have heard all year. Daniel Craig and Judi Dench lend their voice talents, giving the game a more authentic Bond feel, but it's really the effects that steal the show. Squeezing off rounds into the chest of an enemy is made even more satisfying with a dull thud followed by a short gurgle from your newly dispatched foe. Explosions, environmental destruction, and a spot-on score all work to keep you immersed in the experience, but it's not perfect. Upon being detected, you hear various chatter amongst the enemies, but, for whatever reason, the guy giving orders to the henchmen sounds like an extremely abrasive European transformer. The multiplayer in the original GoldenEye was what kept the cartridge firmly planted in our Nintendo 64s long after the game should have been rightfully shelved. It was the stuff of legend and, really, the first successful console first-person shooter multiplayer experience. The GoldenEye multiplayer legacy was clear with the marketing of the remake, and it's just as fun. With the return of classic modes like Golden Gun and License to Kill, online play adds new modes such as Black Box, GoldenEye, Heroes, as well as a classic deathmatch and team deathmatch modes. GoldenEye 007's update to modernity shows in the multiplayer as well, with an XP system where you level up, unlocking new weapons and gadgets. While I will admit to regularly getting my ass handed to me these days in Call of Duty Black Ops, I found online play in GoldenEye 007 refreshing. It's all about the fun. With less of a seriously competitive audience, players of all skill levels can enjoy the multiplayer, while those more experienced to first-person shooters will appreciate the XP system. And of course, the split-screen multiplayer returns to appeal to the nostalgia of longtime GoldenEye fans. While there isn't much competition, I can easily say that GoldenEye 007 is the best first-person shooter for the Wii. Fans of the original game will be delighted to see a new take on a classic title, while those unfamiliar with GoldenEye will quickly be hooked on a well-crafted campaign and endlessly addictive multiplayer. GoldenEye 007 for the Wii is no doubt judged against its predecessor, but if you strip away the Bond license and the nostalgia points, this is still a really great game that stands on its own merit. Even with an onslaught of new first-person shooters recently released, I find myself continuing to return to GoldenEye 007. It's just too damn fun to quit.
For even more game reviews, head over to blog.machinima.com/reviews.